Welcome to Failed Forward, a podcast for professionals who are wondering, how the hell did I get here?
Join your host, Rachel Durkin, and me, Donna Miller, as we discuss the messy, bumpy, and often unattractive journey to success.
After all, if it isn't hard to do, is it really worth doing? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Failed Forward, a podcast for people who are wondering, how the hell did I get here? I am your first host, Rachel Durkin from Paradigm Marketing and Design, and joining me, as always, is Donna Miller from C3 Workplace.
Hello.
We have an amazing guest today that Donna and I are both big fans of, Cal Thomas from Sandler Training. Cal, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for the invitation. I always love hanging out with you two. It's fun and efficient.
That's true. That's like the perfect segue to our personalities.
It is. And it's about, what we each bring to the table. So Cal, tell us, Rachel and I know you well, but tell us who you are and what you do.
Who I am and what do I do and how did I get here? I got here because I accidentally went to a baseball game, which I now understood was a networking event. I didn't know that at the time. So I'm the owner, as you guys know well, of Sandler Training in Morristown, New Jersey. And at our core, we are a sales development and management training business. So most of our clients find us because a lot of them, they're just frustrated that either they or their salespeople aren't getting enough of the right people at the right level, sometimes with the right frequency. Others do okay with that, but the deals take a long time and they can't get people to make decisions, and that's annoying. On the leadership of the management side, we've got kind of a lot of interesting things going on in the economy. And what people tell me is they're scared to death that their skills maybe aren't at a level where they're going to do a good job of retaining great talent. And nobody wants to not retain their good talent. So that's a short version of what we do most days.
So Cal, you own this franchise. And so essentially you're a business owner. That's a huge accomplishment. And wait, let me rephrase. You're a successful business owner that's profitable and makes money. That's a huge accomplishment. So just tell us a second about that. We want to know about, what was your journey to get there?
Yeah, it was an accidental one. It didn't happen on purpose. When I was 24 years old, it was like a few months back, there was a guy who, it's not that funny.
I caught it.
Who looked
it kind of is, but okay.
We're in the same boat here. There was a guy doing a professional seminar at the time, and he said, "You're not leaving this room until you write a personal mission statement." Come on. I was one of the last people out of there because I couldn't figure it out. And I wrote down, my mission is to help people enjoy living life and to lead by example. Mm-hmm. Still exists to this day. It's written down right there, as a matter of fact. And I'd like to think I've done a lot of that, but in this role, in this job, in this business, I mean, we quite literally, it sounds like overstepping, but it does change people's lives. It changes how they think. It's changed how I think about their beliefs, about their confidence, about their ability to actually be able to go do things like talk to the CEO of a Fortune 50 company, just like it's your uncle, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's kind of the mindset, I guess, of what changed for me and how I got here. And it's fun, right? It's got to be fun.
So I do think, and that's been my experience as well, Cal, I often say that most of my success was unintentional until it became strategic. And we're talking about failing forward here. So talk to us a little bit about what your biggest obstacle was and how you overcame that.
So I like that question. Probably not a lot different. It was me and my own belief systems, right? Comparing myself to other people. And what that really created was a self-limiting belief that, well, they're pretty good. I can never surpass that. But as you do better, as you know, my parents to this day have told me, hey, you're aggressively independent or exceedingly independent. So I had to figure a lot of stuff out. So that was helpful. And then as we, because you've seen this for yourselves, as we get more successful, is that money, is it business, is it experiences and travel? I think it is meeting other people. Then you see other people and you're kind of like, well, why can't I do what they're doing? So I think my early failures were not setting big enough goals and for assuming that what I saw all around me was that's what you do. right? I remember there's a guy in our network, Bill Bartlett. He's phenomenal. He speaks at every Sandler conference ever done. He's great. And I had a thing that I'd said, well, I'll never be a speaker like Bill Bartlett. Well, somebody argued that I'm actually on the stage at the next conference where Bartlett would have been, except it's me this time. So I shot too low. I didn't think big enough.
And you're in sales and training, and just for our audience, because the whole concept is fail forward, I think that some people who are starting out look at us who are a little further along, and at this point, we probably make it look a little bit easy. But I would venture to guess, and you're in sales training and you're in leadership training, I have to imagine that a majority of people are struggling with those self-limiting beliefs.
That probably is in the top three, Donna, for sure. And I think let's stick with sales and a sales perspective, right? Salespeople have one of the toughest jobs going, right? Unless you're a line person for the 49ers this year. But some people believe they're just going out and facing rejection 90% of their day. So I have a different mindset, and we teach our clients, and you guys get this one. There is no failure in sales, right? We just know we need to go figure out if another adult wants to have some communication with us to figure if we should work together. They've got to be willing and able. Some will, some won't. So what? It's nothing to do with me. Now, it has had some things to do with me. And if you saw some of my earlier sales calls, you would never even consider that I would be doing what I'm doing now. But it's also getting over that, and it's repetition, just doing it time and time again. Look, someone's going to say no. I will get a no today. I just will. Good. At least I got that behind me now.
I think you become numb to it. I always say I fail all the time. Like I mess up constantly, but I'm still an incredibly confident person today. I wasn't, 10 years ago. And I think it's because I failed so much that the word fail doesn't scare me. Okay, you fall and you get back up again. That's it. Failure is not that big of a deal anymore. So, and it's like somebody saying no to you is not that big of a deal anymore. So it's kind of like actually becoming numb to it is what makes you successful, but man, does it hurt. The first fall hurts the most, and then you keep getting back up and it hurts less. So I feel like that's what I've learned on this journey, but what have you learned? Like if you could go back to little Cal, 24-year-old Cal from a few months ago, what would you tell him?
Take action faster.
I like that.
You have a lot of reluctance. Well, what if, I've developed a mindset over many years. Again, it wasn't, I'm not 24 or 20 anything. I'd like to, or as soon as I make this thing happen, then. As soon as I do research, I will. But I've realized through a lot of the people that I've watched fail, which is a whole bunch of my peers and friends, what's the worst thing that can happen? Really, when I bought this business, it kind of came about unexpectedly. It never occurred to me that, it was a business with no clients at the time. Never even occurred to me that was going to be a problem. And it's what we do. 10 years prior to that, I went, wow, as soon as I get some more experience in doing this, as soon as I know more people around, as soon as I have a bigger network, what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Don't worry about it. It'll work out.
Don't worry about it. Something will work out. And again, it's not the path I thought I was going to be. I graduated from college with a degree in purchasing and materials management. I was a purchasing guy. I don't even like salespeople. That's not true. I like the
I like buying stuff, but I don't
you do now.
And my old colleagues from back then, they think I'm a traitor. How can you possibly be doing this, right? But it's also, again, I screw up all the time. We had a class today, and somebody corrected me. They were, what reverses are. They reversed me better than I reversed them, and everybody laughed hysterically at it, which is great.
Why don't you tell the audience what a reverse is for the ones that are not Sandler trained?
So Rachel, I'm glad you pointed that out. Now, how would you like me to go about explaining that specifically? That was actually a real reverse.
That'd be a reverse.
Yeah.
So people come to us with questions, and they may not really be the questions. One came up today is, how big is your company? Nobody really cares how big our company is. They want to have confidence that we can do the work that fix the problem that they have. So we have to ask another question. When you say, how big are we, Donna? Now, are you looking for a large company that has a footprint internationally like yours? or have you had success with smaller companies that customize the work just for you?
And there you go, a little bit
And
of
then you know how to
sales
position
training.
the answer to the question once they give it back to you.
I need to get to the real truth and the real question.
Right.
Yeah.
And because of in the spirit of failing forward, I certainly, when I first started out in my career, I was doing way too much talking during the sales process. And reversing is a way to keep your prospect talking, because that's where the magic is. It's not going to come from your mouth, it's going to come from their mouth. So, Cal, one of the things I always find interesting is, so you are a sales trainer and a leadership trainer. That's the core of what you do. But in running a business, you have to be so much more than that specific thing. Which aspects of running and growing a business and an organization, and even if it's just you, it's still an organization, which aspect was the most difficult for you, and how did you address that?
That's pretty easy. I'm a genius. I can do all of it. Right?
Oh, we all are, right up until we're burnt out and sick.
I'm a little lucky in being different than other business owners in that I know my primary job is to sell, prospect, sell, and then do the things, train and do all that stuff. What I shouldn't be doing is accounting. I probably should not be managing my calendar. I have some other people that do prospecting behaviors for me. I have a marketing person, Rachel, right, who's the genius at marketing, and I say, you please tell me what to do. You know what to do. So I've figured out, not quickly, by the way, and it absolutely it inhibited my growth in the first 2 years of the business for sure, because I needed to control that. I needed to do that. I don't, and I was afraid that it was going to cost too much. Are you kidding me? And that I grew the year
It costs more to screw it up.
it costs way more to screw it up, right?
Well, yeah, and when you become the bottleneck and you're stopping everything from happening because you're trying to have your hands in everything, you know, you know, you said you used the word control, and I think that our audience can probably, if they're honest with themselves, really relate to the fact that we all think we have way more control than we actually do.
Exactly.
And you know, the letting go to grow is really where the success comes from, not from holding on to it.
For
You know,
sure.
it's so funny.
And I think taking some risk also. So I've had a long-time client, and I beat him up a little on this. He's always saying, well, as soon as I get a little more work, I can make the next hire. 5 years later, he just made 2 hires. He has no idea how he's gonna be able to afford them. So he's got a little line of credit. He took a little pay cut. Guess what? He just got 2 projects completely covering one and a half people.
Well, it's the old, you really can't make money unless you spend money. And you have to, you know, I think that's one of the things I've learned more and more over the last couple of years is, you know, there's so much we can do with data now, and that data really informs your decisions. So it's an investment. It's like any other way to make money. How are you going to invest your money to make more money?
Yeah,
Well, it's also that somebody told me once, a business coach told me once, you can't get to second base with your foot still on first. And every time I have to do something scary, I tell myself that, because you're just holding yourself back. And I remember, you know, we got up to 30 employees. So now you know, my COO will come to me the I'm like, all right, go ahead and hire. I don't care. It doesn't even cross my mind as long as it's in the budget, in the forecast responsibly. But I remember hiring my first employee. That was freaking terrifying. Like holy moly. And I remember she came to me and she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to apply for a mortgage. So they might call you. I'm like, you're going to pay for a house with the salary I give you? Like, that was a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Actually, Rachel, that's interesting. That's a pain point that a lot of my clients have. They're good business owners. They're
just like
right.
everything else.
We're all good at what we do.
Mm-hmm.
At the work that we do. Donna's a great coach. She runs a great business. Rachel, people call her the marketing genius, and she's really good at that stuff. I'm probably okay at what I do. But some of the other stuff, you know, I hired a young, smart person recently. I'm a little nervous about it. She is 5 times more efficient than I am. She gives me tasks and tells me things that I need to do before I needed to do them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was pretty good at technology. Obviously not so much as she is. She's paid, and prospects are very attracted to her. She's a very interesting person to talk to, very engaging. She brought in 3 clients. She already paid for herself for the next 2 years.
Wow. Can I
So
have her?
my head
Yeah.
crash.
Yeah. And
So
you know,
I'm gonna come to your office later and just,
No coaching.
you know, and I also think that sometimes what happens is when I'm working with my clients on business growth strategies, we are talking about expanding teams. And they're like, well, that person's going to cost $150,000 a year. I'm like, well, they're not. Tack on at least 20% for everything else they're going to cost. But
yeah.
don't think in terms of what they're going to cost you in a year. You're going to onboard this person. You're going to know in a pretty, you've got a 90-day window and you have to have metrics to measure success. So really the investment is the 90 days. Ultimately, it's going to be more. But when I wrap my head around the decision, I don't think about the annual salary. I think about this person is going to have to show me something in the first 3 months.
Yeah.
And
otherwise it doesn't matter, because if they're
Right.
not paying for themselves,
Exactly.
then,
Exactly.
I just told that to somebody in my WPO group because she was freaking out about hiring someone, very high, a couple people over the year cost. And the year cost doesn't matter because they're going to be gone in 90 days. Well,
If
that's the
they're
other lesson. That's another lesson that I learned. Fire them in 90 days.
hire
Don't
slow,
hold on.
fire
I
fast.
have lost a lot of money holding
sure.
on and hoping it will work out. And yeah, you got to do it quickly.
Yeah. Hoping things are going to work out.
It's not a strategy.
Right. Smoking opium, all that bad analogies and things. It's about one of my things, take action quickly. I didn't always do that. I really had to think about things.
Well, Cal, as we wind down, tell us, given what you know now, all the things you've learned, all the experience that you've had in building your Sandler franchise into a thriving, successful practice, if you could go back and do one thing differently, what would it be?
Hey, boy, and people ask me that often, and sometimes I have it said, I did a little bit of an early retirement. I call it that. It wasn't. I quit my job and I couldn't find another one for a long time. So I started a consulting practice. But I took time off and I played pretty hard for a long time. And I had a periodically successful consulting practice because I didn't really work at it very hard. And when I decided that, look, I know a lot more about these topics than these people who are running their companies, and I believed it, then things went like that. Then I started a sales training business because I had the mindset of, why not? Why can't I do that? Of course we can do that. And I think there's all kinds of people that talk about things like that. Mel Robbins comes to mind. She does a takeoff on the Nike ad, "Just Do It." It's the most
best slogan ever.
Yeah. And what's the most important word in there? It's not do, it's just. Just do it. Just take the action. Just step out on the stage. Just talk to some people. Just go approach that guy across the bar, the girl across the bar. Just, that's how I met my wife. I just had the courage to talk to this really attractive person who was way smarter than me. And I just did it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Business and dating advice. Does it get any better? I don't know.
They're pretty similar.
What do they say? Good. What's that saying? Good is the enemy of great. Did I say that wrong? Or great is?
No, good is the enemy of great.
Or done. Good is the enemy, or great is the enemy of done.
Oh.
Doesn't have to be perfect. I just wing it.
Be perfect. And there are people that do things better than we do. We should hire the experts, right? We as business owners, we're experts in something. We say all day long, you should be hiring us because we're the experts, but yet we don't take our own advice. I find that.
The best speech I ever gave, I was in my early 20s and in the beginning of my career, and I worked for somebody at the time. And we get to this event, the president of the company's there, and we're supposed, our company's supposed to present. I assumed the president was presenting, but turns out my name was on the sheet to present. I said, "Oh no, you do it." He's like, "Well, you're on the sheet. You might as well do it." Not prepared, no idea. Acted like I knew what I was doing. I went into the bathroom and I wrote on a napkin what I was going to say, and I nailed it. And then I threw up afterwards. No, I'm kidding. But like, I've never done that good again in my whole life. So sometimes you just got to wing it. And hope
you do. And right, we talk about fake it until you make it. And there's some truth in that, but that's really faking our confidence, not necessarily our ability.
But then you become confident as a result.
Yeah. And right. And then guess what? That actually went pretty well. And then start setting.
Or it didn't, and I didn't die,
Exactly. So
right.
So that's it. And goals, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am now without, when I left that corporate job, I said, well, and I finally was at peace with it. I'll never make as much money working with small companies as I do right now in this big cushy corporate
Make
job.
way more.
Well, it took me 3 years to get rid of that head trash, but yeah, right. It's silly. It's silly. So
So
yes.
Cal, we're running up on time. Tell our audience where they can learn more about you or Sandler Training.
Oh, I'm really easy to find. I'm Cal Thomas on LinkedIn. We've got a lot of stuff out there. Our website is Tailwind, like the wind that's behind you, tailwind.sandler.com. And we've created a pretty cool newsletter that's got some interesting stuff. We call it the Flight Plan. Yes, I have a background in aviation. That's the name of the company and the flight plan. So that's where to find me. I think there's going to be a link down here. If you want to jump in and come visit a class, happy to have some people visit. Give me a call and we'll make it happen. Thanks for inviting me.
Highly recommend Sandler Training. Put your team in it, check
Absolutely.
it out yourself, take them up on the free offer.
It's a great investment, which we talked about before.
It is an investment and a lot of ROI on this stuff if you do it, right?
Absolutely.
And I've got training coming up in about 2 minutes. So
All right.
love hanging out with you too.
Thank you so much, Cal.
Thanks for joining us. Take care.